hybrid vehicle, which is a big increase on previous predictions. Well, joining us today to discuss this from the Institute of the Motor Industry, the professional organised association for the motor sector, it's Steve Nash. Hello, good morning.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good.
Now then, first of all, let's clarify, what's a hybrid car?
A hybrid car is a car that's got both an internal combustion engine, so a petrol or a diesel engine, normally petrol actually, and an electric motor as well. So it's a bit of both.
Okay, so you can go through both traditional and electric.
Yeah, and so they can drive with both sort of things working, or you can drive with just the electric, as well. So for limited distances, but it's new technology, and it's part of the future.
Okay, part of the future.
Yeah.
How many people in our area are looking to switch to a hybrid or an electric vehicle?
Well, we did a survey of people who were in the market to buy a new car within the next year or so, and in the Nottingham and the surrounding area, 48% of people said they were considering buying an electric or a hybrid vehicle.
That's a lot.
It's massive, because I mean at the moment those vehicles make up about 2% of sales, and to put it in perspective, diesel takes just over 50% of the market at the moment. So
yeah, well, diesel hasn't got a good press at the moment.
Well, and that's probably some of the reasons for the result. It's a bit of a reaction to recent news, although it's also a reaction to the fact that the product assortment is getting better. We're on the same sort of development curve that we've seen with mobile phones. Where you sort of had something the size of a house brick with very little battery life to what we all kind of benefit from today. And the hybrid cars particularly, I mean, in their early form, they were quite expensive. They were a lot heavier because of all the batteries, and the batteries took up half your boot space and all that sort of thing. But what's coming through now is considerably better, and there's a lot more choice. So people are thinking, I think, particularly if they're concerned about things like whether there will be restrictions on diesel cars in city centres and all that sort of thing. Second biggest purchase you ever make, isn't it, next to a house? And so people are thinking prudently.
Yeah. So back in the day, people were worried about charging, being able to charge up their electric cars. Is that all sorted and done with now?
Well, that's a process, isn't it? I mean, there's work going on to improve the charging networks. But I mean, the thing is, the reason we talk about electrics and hybrids, because hybrids don't have the range issues. Electrics do, but actually they're becoming better and better, and we're hearing companies like Tesla saying they'll soon have 250-mile range on their cars, which is more than. Bear in mind that the average daily commute, I mean, there and back, totals up to about 17 or 18 miles. So for most people, I mean, they can charge the car at home overnight, and it's not really an issue if that's what they're using the car for. But I think probably the wider adoption will be hybrids rather than electrics, but both will play a part. I think
will people feel more confident with hybrids, maybe?
Well, as I say, they don't have the range anxiety with hybrid cars. The thing is, with either, though, you're talking about new technology for which we don't have an awful lot of qualified people, because there's around about 170,000 people across the country who work on cars, and only about 1,000 of them at the moment have any kind of recognisable qualification to work on electric cars. That electric or hybrid cars, that includes the sort of the electrical systems, which are very high voltage, lethal. I mean, 600-700 volts, and we believe that's an issue, because once these vehicles become more widespread, then we think that's an area where there should be some kind of regulation. We've been pushing for regulation for people working on cars anyway, but this would be a good place to start, because.
Do you know what? I hadn't even thought about that side of it. So what do you think the industry needs to do to get it up to speed?
Well, that's definitely part of it. I think at the moment, because they make up such a small part of sales, the majority of qualified people, or in fact pretty much all of them, are within the franchise dealer networks, and that's fine at the moment. But as the volumes grow, these cars will get outside of the franchise dealer networks, and both for the protection of people working on the cars and for the protection particularly know, we need to know that people are properly qualified. So we have a publicly searchable database, a professional register of qualified people, and we're saying to government, actually that's the framework's already there. You know, you just need to put some regulation behind that. We're doing this actually for the Malaysian government already, and I mean that's a much smaller and less developed market than ours. So if they've seen the way forward, I think our government should too. You know, because the government are quite keen to move people in this direction, but they need to make sure that the frameworks are there. I mean, I think manufacturers are already on with it. You know, manufacturers were looking to this for future developments anyway, but I think recent events will have brought those schedules forward. Yeah, so we won't literally see a switch overnight into 50% of people buy. I mean, this is you know, the industry isn't geared up for 50% of sales to be hybrids yet, because you know manufacturing is geared around petrols and diesels largely. But we will see that. We're definitely going to see a lot more people moving in that direction. And bear in mind, if you went back 15 plus years, you know, diesel cars only made up about this kind of percentage of the market, and here they are today taking over 50% of sales, you know. So it's entirely feasible that, you know, in a few years, you know, these electric and hybrid vehicles will be the way to go.
So you talked about a list of qualified and registered mechanics. What about training?
Well, you know, the thing is, what the professional register does is it recognises people who are properly trained and where we've been able to recognise and accredit their training, and that they provide evidence that they keep their skills current. And you know, the industry spends a lot on training. I mean, the industry spends over £100 million a year training people, but you know, there are probably around 40,000 businesses nationally, and there are, you know, and the public don't know the difference between those who are highly qualified and those who have no qualifications at all. You know, so we're saying
that could be expensive.
Sorry?
That could be expensive.
Well, it could be. Yeah, it could be. And in an unregulated business, you know, anybody is able to go and set themselves up to work on cars. And in the past, you know, you could get away with that if you were a little bit sort of naturally gifted with mechanical things, but it's more about electrics and electronics these days, and you can't dabble with that if you don't know what you're doing. You know, you add to that the emergence of, you know, self-driving cars and everything else, which is all, you know, here and now. It's not sort of 5 or 10 years in the future. You know, lots of sort of autonomous technologies. There's an even greater reason really to do something about it.
So where can our listeners go for more information?
Well, if they want to find people on the professional register, they can go to www.imiregister.org.uk, or they can go to the IMI website, which they can find through the Institute of Motor Industry website, which they can find through Google. Or actually, if they want to know about products and what's available out there, a good place to look would be the Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders website.
Lovely. So, Steve Nash from the Institute of the Motor Industry, thanks a lot for joining us this morning.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.